Dear friends, welcome back to Data Analytics Talks. Today, let's go to the dynamic and evolving world of oil and gas, an industry that powers our daily lives and drives the global economy. So, this is data analytics in oil and gas, fueling the future. So, as we transition towards a more data driven era, the role of data analytics in the oil and gas sector has become more crucial than ever. From exploration to production, transportation to refining, every stage of the oil and gas value chain generates vast amount of data, unimaginable quantity of data. So harnessing this data with cutting edge analytics can lead to groundbreaking efficiencies, cost savings, and ability to make informed decisions that were once thought impossible. So join me as I delve into the essentials of data analytics in the oil and gas domain, exploring how it is transforming the industry and shaping the future of energy. So stay tuned as I uncover the power of data in driving innovation and sustainability in the oil and gas industry. I will deliver this topic in couple of sessions. So start with the basics, then the ways of data generation, and we will see some of the use cases. And finally, we will see how data driven decisions are taken in the industry. Let's begin. So welcome back, and let's see what is oil and gas industry, and from an overview point of view. So I have started working in this domain for a couple of months, and my experience is limited and short. And this is an attempt to understand the oil and gas industry, and an attempt to acquire its domain knowledge and use it. My knowledge is limited, and I request you to excuse any flaws if you find any. So, as you are going to explore this oil and gas, and first you need to understand the hydrocarbons. So, hydrocarbons are the principal constituents of petroleum and natural gas. So, they serve as fuel and lubricants as well as raw materials for the production of plastics, fiber, rubbers, solvents, some explosives, and some industrial chemicals. It's very interesting to understand some of the major players in this oil production. So, who are the major countries who produces oil? Number one is USA. Number two, Saudi Arabia. Number three is Russia. Then Iraq, Iran, and the list goes. India holds a 10th position as some of the surveys in January 2019. Interesting fact that even though US is number one, it is still importing a lot of oil because the oil processing depends on different aspects like quality, location, and quantity. You know, based on the quality, the cost of refining varies, and the US wants to optimize its production by mixing oil from different parts of the universe. Okay, so some of the interesting fact about the top producing companies, the revenues of the world largest oil and gas companies in 2022 in billion US dollars. In billion US dollars is was Saudi Aramco was like 589.5 billion US dollar. PetroChina 457. Sinopec is 453, and other companies like ExxonMobil, Shell, Total, British Petroleum, they follow. Okay, and you know major elements of petroleum system from a geological point of view, you should understand like source rock, reservoir rock, seal rock, migration path, and something called trap. Can you understand something from these images? Number one is called source rock. You see some liquid flowing out of it, right? The source rock in the context of oil geology refers to sedimentary rocks that contain sufficient organic materials to generate hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons means oil and gas, natural gas, through the process of thermal maturation. So when these rocks are subjected to increased temperature and pressure over geological time, the organic matter breaks down to form oil and gas, which can then migrate and accumulate in the reservoir rock. So here, you can see this organic substance matter generates and is moving to this reservoir rock. And reservoir rocks are porous and permeable rocks that can store and transmit hydrocarbons. And some of the examples like sandstones or carbonates are examples of this reservoir rock. And coming to the seal rock, as the name suggests, like these seal rocks are essential in trapping hydrocarbons within the reservoir rocks. So they prevent their escape to the surface or into other permeable formations. And very important is migration pathways. Like in geology, migration pathways refers to the route that hydrocarbons take as they move from source rock, where they are generated, to the reservoir rock, where they are accumulated. And finally, we have the trap. As the word says, in the context of petroleum geology, a trap is a configuration of rocks that can contain hydrocarbons and is sealed by non-permeable layer and formation that prevents the hydrocarbons from migrating further. So we have the source rock, reservoir rock, seal rock, migration pathways, and trap. And it takes millions of years to generate the hydrocarbons. You can see the fossil fuel cannot be replenished by natural means at the same rate that it is consumed. That's why they are known as non-renewable source of energy. If you look at, there is a geological time, and the world, the universe has undergone many eras, like you know from 0 million to 4,000 millions of years. And now currently we are almost like extracting oil and gas is primarily in this Ososonic era. That means it's somewhat here. Maybe like you can say 200, 2,250 to 100 million years ago. So what uh, the the plants, the animals, they have their sediments actually. So basically, the more specifically, the late Jurassic to late Cretaceous periods. That that is those things that now we are extracting, right? Now, yeah, but the consumption is so fast. That's why it is not renewable energy anymore. So now looking at to the industry, we are coming back to the industry. Let's understand the business value chain in the oil and gas. Of course, if you explore this oil industry, you will understand like it is divided into three: upstream, midstream, and downstream. So, what is upstream? As you see here, it is mostly related to the exploration and production. That's upstream. And midstream is more of like the transportation. And downstream is more about refining and distribution. So, closely looking at the upstream, it's exploration. We have the seismic data analysis. We have the reservoir engineering, then geology and geoscience, and oil wells, drilling, offshore, onshore rigs, then the production, and then oil field services all comes under the upstream. So it's basically where you concentrate. Like if you can concentrate on the upstream, all about production and exploration. And if it is more of a midstream, we have how the oil is transported. Like it could be like through ships, pipelines, or trucks. It could be rail or road. Maybe it has different mechanism to transport the petroleum generated, right? So that's all about the midstream. And coming to downstream, the refineries, manufacturing, in the storage terminals, then retail gas stations, gas distribution. power companies, lubricants, all part of that downstream. So remember, like upstream, midstream, and downstream. So we will little more see about what is upstream. So basically, upstream is all about exploration, drilling, and production. Right. The hydrocarbons used to record sound waves. So how do you have you ever thought about how we are doing this exploration of oil? It could be underwater, right? Under seas, right? It could be offshore. So there is something called hydrophones are used to record sound waves that are bounced off the ocean floor, which provides information on rock formations and possible deposit. So before any oil drilling can take place, possible oil wells must be located using this kind of seismic surveys. So coming to the upstream part, we have seen they are mostly exploration or drilling part, right? That's upstream. So here you can find out different types of rigs, maybe offshore or onshore, and different types of platforms. The fixer platforms and the complaint tower, tension leg platforms, then spar platforms and subsea systems, floating protection, drill ships. So if you go to any coastal areas, maybe if you go to Bombay High, you can see how the floating rigs there, right? So there are different ways of having these rigs. Then we have something called the midstream, the storage and transport of oil. So you can see the midstream oil and gas operation involved the processing, storing, and distribution via ships, pipeline, and trucks of crude oil, natural gas, and refined products and petrochemicals. And very importantly, we have the downstream. As I mentioned, this is a refinery, distillation columns, and different products. It's a converting the crude oil to consumer products. As you see what happened in these distilling columns. It's a process used to separate mixture of two or more components by heating the mixture of to a temperature between their respective boiling points. So in distilling column, the crude oil enters in the middle of the chamber. Okay, and once the feed is heated from bottom of the column, the different products are separated by taking advantage of boiling points of byproducts. You can see different byproducts at different boiling points, right? And the byproducts with lower boiling points typically evaporates and travel to the top of the column, and the byproducts with higher boiling points are collected at the bottom as indicated. Thanks for watching. Hope you got some idea about oil and gas industry, especially how hydrocarbons are formed and what are the different divisions in oil and gas, especially the upstream, midstream, and downstream. In this session, I would like to explain the oil trilemma, and then we will look at some of the transitions happened in the oil industry. Then we will see about the various data sources, how data is generated across different divisions like upstream, midstream, and downstream. Again, thank you.